Hey everyone, I'm Sarah Davis and you're watching Fight News Now, the MMA edition. Stay right where you are. We have all sorts of stuff from Montreal to bring you in our newsmakers. On 3 rounds, John Pollock is filling in for Robin Black, who is resting his fists. And on the shift, we bring you some new releases. And you don't want to miss the knockout in our viral video. Let's get to it. This Saturday night is when we'll finally see the battle between the legendary BJ Penn and rising welterweight star Rory MacDonald. That bout is on the main card for UFC on Fox, Henderson versus Diaz. And here's what MacDonald had to say about Penn agreeing to the match.
I think it was a mistake for him, for anybody that asked to fight me. I don't think he knows what he's getting himself into. But, I mean, I have to fight somebody. So, unfortunately, he made the wrong choice for himself. I don't really care if he's in good shape or not. I really can't control that. And if he's in good shape or in bad shape, all I can control is my training and my mental attitude going into the fight. And I'm really only focusing on myself.
Leading up to this comeback fight, Penn has been adamant about self-imposed drug testing by the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association and even asked MacDonald to do the same battery of random blood and urine tests. But we all know that Penn has been using this as a way to jab at MacDonald.
I mean, what he said on the press conference call yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever it was, you know, he did it to like give himself safety or to make sure he's safe. I'm a clean fighter. I'm not on steroids, but he's still not safe.
So watch out, BJ. All right, Penn has also admitted that coming out of retirement for this fight means that he gets one more battle against TriStar Gym and head coach Firas Zahabi. There's been a well-documented rivalry going on since Penn's first loss to TriStar's George St. Pierre.
No, it's fine if that's his motivation. I understand that, you know, in UFC 94 it was built up and, you know, he didn't work out the way he wanted. And I understand that he wants to redeem himself. I respect that. I have a tremendous amount of admiration for him. I still consider him pound for pound one of the best fighters out there. And I think Rory's time now to have his name with the great like BJ is what's important for our side. You know, we want Rory to get in the mix, you know, to be known and to be famous. And I really respect BJ for taking the fight and giving Rory that chance. You know, he doesn't have to come out of retirement for anybody. And he's done what he has to do. He's helped the sport immensely. But I appreciate it very much for him to give Rory the chance to get in the mix.
It's been rumored that GSP is asking for $50 million to fight Anderson Silva, but GSP says there is absolutely no truth to this statement and wouldn't comment any further. Maybe he wants more than that. The Gracie hunter Kazushi Sakuraba has closed the doors to Laughter 7, his MMA gym in Tokyo, Japan. Financial struggles have been blamed for the closing. A Pride and Dream veteran, Sakuraba last fought at Dream 17 in September 2011 and is currently signed to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Tweet of the week comes from Dana White, who replied to a UFC photographer writing, "It's a skit for a comedian. Beep in this country cry about everything. Get a sense of humor." That's in response to White's cameo as a homeless person in a skit on this past Sunday's NFL on Fox, which the photog had called Bad Taste and asked White to make an apology. The skit was poking fun at NFL insider information, and obviously White has no apologies. Featherweight Ryan Hall earned his first professional win at Slam 1 TriStar Fights in Montreal this weekend. He TKO'd Philippe Deschambeau less than 2 minutes into the first round, and it sounds like his corner had something to do with it.
You know, I really didn't have any intention of coming in and submitting anybody. I was just here to fight, and not that submissions aren't a part of fighting, but, you know, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a very long time, and I wanted to really get some different type of experience. You know, I was lucky my opponent was a tough guy with 9 fights, 10 after this one, but, you know, I actually had a rear naked choke, and Firas, my corner, was like, "Stop that, let him," and I'm like, "Oh," and he's punch. I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is not a jiu-jitsu match, stop that." So, yeah, I was happy with that.
Firas Zahabi's younger brother, Ayman, who is a bantamweight, was also on the card, and he came away with the W in his professional debut by submitting Kyle Vivian with punches in round 1.
I didn't really have a specific game plan, you know. I'm just happy to have done well and come out with the win, and neither of us got too badly hurt. You know, I'm taking one fight at a time. I got to pay my dues, you know. I'm not going to aim for the stars before I know whether or not I'm good at it, you know. So a lot of people, you know, they're talking I'm good, some people talking I'm not so good, and I'm here to just pay my dues and find out what it really is, you know, get in there and do my time.
Of course, Ayman fights out of TriStar, so his training partners include guys like Ivan Menjivar. Here's what Menjivar had to say about Ayman's skills and where he's going.
He's good, honestly. We're training together. He was like 16 years old. He started with us. He's athletic. He have a good head, and he's the beginning. So I'm happy to be part of, you know, to help him. That way, one day I take a retirement. He's ready to replace us.
But the head of the gym, Firas, doesn't want us getting ahead of ourselves. After all, his little brother has only had one professional fight thus far, and who knows what could happen in his next bout.
You know, sometimes you get people making too much out of something. You know, they hype up a guy, and then all of a sudden he doesn't walk on water for them. You know, and I don't think it's fair to ask for somebody to do that. He's very good. He's got a lot of potential, and you know, there's so much to come. Who knows? You know. I just want to let things happen organically. I don't like to try to force things or hype things or fan the flames. I just like to let things happen the way they are. If you're destined to be great, you'll be great, you know. You don't need me to push you in the back.
Andrei Koreshkov is the latest winner of Bellator's welterweight tournament after earning a unanimous decision over Lyman Good at Bellator 82. Koreshkov is now 13-0 and will get his chance to fight for a title. King Mo Lawal will finally be making his debut with the promotion. He's slated to compete on January 17th in the light heavyweight tournament. Although it hasn't been officially announced, that day is also a Thursday, which means Bellator could be holding their events on Thursdays instead of Fridays next season. We recently told you about Nick Denis' retirement from MMA. Denis currently holds a master's in biochemistry and is working on a PhD. But school wasn't the big reason for retirement. It was head trauma. Here's Denis explaining it in his own words.
Pretty much just for my own health. You know, pretty much just worried about brain damage. Little shots in sparring, not necessarily fights, but the little shots that just keep adding up. They're very real, and maybe even more real than just big concussive events. And so I just kind of thought, you know, what I want for myself in terms of long term, and I just imagined myself in the future possibly having some sort of problems with memory or, you know, recognizing people and stuff like that. And I just realized I'd rather be healthy than not healthy, and so it wasn't worth the risk, I guess, and so I decided to quit fighting.
TUF Season 12 winner Jonathan Brookins will meet Dustin Poirier at the Ultimate Fighter 16 finale in mid-December for a featherweight affair. Both fighters are coming off losses, but Brookins sounds like he's ready for fireworks.
I mean, it's hard, man, to say when somebody's that well-rounded. You really just got to go in well-rounded yourself. You can't just be like, you know, I'm going to pick this guy apart here, here, and here. Like you said, it's the name of the game. He's well-versed all over the place. So you got to go in there and be sharp all over the place and hope that that brings the fight of the night, man. You really just go out there with the mindset like, we're just going to put on a great show for everybody and really show what MMA is, man. I mean, like up, down, you know, all over the place. That's what I'm looking for.
Our own Robin Black got into the octagon last weekend at Slam. Robin, who fights at bantamweight, is 43 years old and pulled off a second-round Kimura on Derek Charbonneau. Check it out.
This one's mine. That's it, okay? Thank you. Break. Over.
That's our Robin. And John Ramdeen, you were in his corner. What was that like?
It was so exciting. It wasn't really exciting seeing him cut weight. He was very depleted, but it was all part of the plan. He got it done and he looked great. It was very exciting to be there.
Awesome. So he's actually on vacation this week, and we have John Pollock filling in for him on 3 rounds. What do you two have for us after the break?
It is all about the UFC on Fox 5, and believe it or not, Pollock and I can't agree on Fight of the Night.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Okay, so 3 rounds with John and John is after this break. This isn't a normal 3 rounds. Robin Black is on vacation, resting his fists after his exciting 2nd round submission at Slam TriStar Fights. So we have John Pollock tagging in for him. And guys, let's get 3 rounds started. John and John, take it away.
I'm wondering where my little graphic is, where my face comes up right below me. I feel like I'm not part of this 3 rounds until I get my graphic here. But let's start off chatting about our colleague Robin Black. He's off to Mexico, a very well-deserved 2nd round Kimura. And John, you were right there in Montreal, getting to watch Robin in the lead up to Friday night's fight for Slam.
Yeah, for me, it's actually been longer than that. Robin decided more than 10 weeks ago, as we were getting ready for our big 5K run, that he was going to make this splash, try to make another run at mixed martial arts. And so I got to see the entire process of him really getting in shape and getting into peak physical form for this. But the most eye-opening experience was the weigh-in. Robin getting down to 136 pounds. He had to cut more than 6 pounds that day, and it really was an eye-opening experience, especially for anybody who's never seen this. He was very depleted. He was very angry. Our cameraman, Wei Ting, trying to put a camera in his face. He really wasn't into it because, of course, just the weight cut was affecting his mind and affecting his entire body, but he knew it was the right thing to do because he came into that fight bigger, stronger, and he ended things in the 2nd round. So Robin really did fight a perfect fight.
And this was really a showcase for a lot of the up-and-coming prospects within the TriStar gym and around Montreal, including Ayman Zahabi, who you got to see fight his first professional fight and passing with flying colors.
Yeah, I mean, I had a chance to talk to his coach and his older brother, Firas Zahabi, who of course trains George St. Pierre and Rory MacDonald, as well as all the other killers at TriStar Gym. And he says that Ayman is a special fighter. He knows that this guy is good, but he doesn't want to just throw him in there with the Wolves. He knows he could probably compete at the highest level with the fighters in the UFC. All you have to do is go back and look at the Countdown show with George St. Pierre. You can see Ayman Zahabi there most of the time training, just getting himself to be at the top of his game. But it's a slow process for Firas. He wants to make sure that Ayman is taken care of and safety is paramount. But I know that big things are sure to come from Ayman Zahabi.
We look ahead to this weekend. The UFC returns to Fox for their 5th event on Big Fox, a loaded main card here. This just looks fantastic, John, and I think this is really the direction you want to see Fox continue. They had a fantastic show back in August, didn't really bring in the numbers. They did about 2.4 million viewers. They were going against the Olympics. It was in the summer. There's a noticeable shift here in how Fox has gotten behind this card, and it really feels like there was some meeting of the minds here where Fox wanted more attractive fights, and with that comes the big promotion that we've seen. They are marketing this as Fight Week on Fox, and this is leading up to a spectacular card on Saturday in Seattle.
It absolutely makes sense. I understand it. If you have a big network like Fox behind your brand, you want to give them the best product you can possibly give them. And of course, the lightweight championship of the world between 2 legitimate guys, that being Ben Henderson and Nathan Diaz, I think is going to deliver that for fight fans. I just don't know if it's necessary that you put on BJ Penn and Rory MacDonald, and if that's not good enough, Shogun and Alexander Gustafsson. This really is a pay-per-view caliber card, and I think you're going to confuse a lot of the casual fans who tune into this fight in Seattle and see this sensational lineup, and then when they go and they see some of the other pay-per-view cards that the UFC puts together, I think a lot of the casual fans get disappointed. And you go back and you look at the fight with George St. Pierre and Carlos Condit. The criticism was that, yes, George is the big star, but underneath that, there weren't a lot of marquee fights.
Certainly you can't load every card like this, a main card on Fox, but what we can look at with the lineups for UFC 155 and 156 on Super Bowl weekend, there certainly seems to be a new edict of trying to really pack these pay-per-view cards and make them a step above what we're used to and kind of separate them from the pack of a very crowded UFC market.
Yeah, they have to. They have that responsibility because people don't want to dish out the 50 or 60 bucks for pay-per-views when they can see a card the caliber of the card we're seeing on Fox 5. So it's for the UFC, I think it's just trying to find their way, and it's their first time on network television. This is their 5th show. So I think they're just trying to figure out that balance. And the balance is, because quite frankly, the UFC doesn't have as many stars as I think a lot of people believe. The actual biggest star is the UFC brand itself. Of course, there's George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva and John Jones and a couple of other guys. But for the most part, you want to put fighters on network TV that have a certain excitement level about them, whether that's being a champion or a guy like Cain Velasquez, who is a top contender. I think the UFC is just trying to find that balance right now, who fits on the pay-per-view and who goes on network TV.
Let's quickly run through these main card fights. Benson Henderson and Nate Diaz. What does Nate Diaz have to do here? This is a fight that on paper I could very easily see going 25 minutes. Phenomenal submission game from Nate Diaz against a guy who is extremely tough to submit in Benson Henderson.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you. I think it is going to go 25 minutes. But the thing about Nathan Diaz, it's very hard to figure out where this guy is in his career. We've seen Benson Henderson. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get a guy that moves forward, very athletic. He doesn't tire, incredible submission defense. And Nathan Diaz, yes, we know he's a black belt under Cesar Gracie. We know he has those jiu-jitsu skills. We know he's an endurance athlete. But what improves immensely every time Nathan Diaz steps inside of the cage is his striking game, and I think that's going to be one of the tools that he uses. He's going to try to keep Benson Henderson on the outside, try to, I think, prevent him from using his athletic background, but I think it's going to be smooth. I think he's going to use some of the same game plan that Donald Cerrone used against his fight with Nathan Diaz. Take the legs out, you take the legs out, you take the power out.
We move on. I know a sentimental favorite for you, Mauricio Shogun Rua against the upcoming Alexander Gustafsson, who might be only a few fights away from a light heavyweight title shot. Certainly a big test here for Gustafsson. Do you favor the younger Gustafsson?
No, I favor Shogun. I think that Shogun has really faced some of the best fighters in the world. And you look at his last 2 fights, Brandon Vera knew who Shogun was, so he came to fight. He came in the best shape humanly possible. And as well, same as that fight with Dan Henderson, Shogun took so much punishment. You say, oh, guys look slow, they looked old. That's what happens when you take the type of damage Shogun took. You know, Dan Henderson didn't look that much better after that fight. So I think that Shogun is a guy that, yes, we know that Alexander Gustafsson is a guy that we look to for the future, but I think Shogun is still around, and I think his time is here right now. He's just got too many skills, and I think he's going to be able to hurt Alexander Gustafsson, although I wouldn't be surprised if Gustafsson went the distance with Shogun.
10 seconds or less is BJ Penn returning to form at 170
I
against
think
Rory
so.
MacDonald.
I think he's going to look great, but Rory MacDonald is the man, and I think when it comes to fight of the night, it's going to be Gustafsson Shogun.
Sarah, I say Penn MacDonald, but whatever. Okay, thanks, guys. So after the break, we preview some epic new releases on the shift and our viral video this week. 2 guys are pretty evenly matched until one of them gets a leg up. Welcome back to Fight News Now. There is something for everyone on our live events this weekend. We're kicking it off with Cage Warriors FC 50 live from Glasgow, Scotland, where Paul McVeigh will battle Brandon Hampleman. That starts at 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, and we'll follow that up with Golden Boy Boxing at 10 p.m. when Luis Ramos goes toe-to-toe with Ricardo Williams Jr. So we're live with MMA at 4 and then boxing at 10, both this Saturday. All right, let's move over to the shift where we have a solid prize in store for you. Let's get to it. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 was released earlier this month, and get this, it grossed $500 million in the first 24 hours that it was on sale, and that makes it the biggest entertainment launch for 2012. That's insane. Maybe it's because you can choose your own destiny in campaign mode. Check it out. Activision's Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is a solid first-person shooter that combines excellent mechanics with awesome storytelling that allows you to control the destiny of your character based on your decisions and actions in the game. The campaign narrative jumps between missions from the Cold War era to levels with advanced drone technology from the year 2025. One of the coolest functions in the multiplayer is the live streaming of League play. Now you can broadcast your missions in real time on YouTube without the use of additional hardware. Take a break from serious missions and walk into a warped reality where you can really test COD's weaponry against waves of zombies. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is an incredibly detailed game loaded with Easter eggs, customization, an impressive multiplayer function, and of course, some serious firepower. Zombies are everywhere, and guess what? You can get your hands on the game thanks to Activision. That's right, you can win Call of Duty Black Ops 2 for Xbox and all the other bonus material in here. Just tweet us at FightNet using hashtag BlackOps2FN. Log on to Facebook.com/FightNetwork or go to YouTube.com/TheFightNetwork and comment on the COD Black Ops 2 video. Okay, now it's that time where we get to watch a guy get nailed in the head on this week's viral video. Now that is what we want to see more often inside the cage. So don't forget, Cage Warriors and Golden Boy are both live this Saturday, and make sure you enter the contest to win Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the fights.